Good evening. On behalf of the Care of Creation Office of the Bishops' Conference of Scotland, Eco Congregation Scotland, Justice and Peace Scotland, the Laudato Si movement, Pax Christi Scotland, the Scottish Catholic Education Service, SCIAF, and the Scottish Laity Network, I would like to welcome you all to the second session of our Season of Creation 2025 series. As you know, the 1st of September was the 10th World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation, and the theme was Seeds of Peace and Hope. In his message for that day, Pope Leo invited us to recall the prophet Isaiah, saying that the Spirit of God can make an arid and parched desert into a garden, a place of rest and serenity. A Spirit from on high will be poured out on us. Then the desert will become a garden, and the garden will be like a forest. Justice will dwell in the desert, and righteousness will abide in the garden. The work of justice will be peace, and the fruit of justice will be quietness and security forever. My people will dwell in a place of peace and secure dwellings, in quiet resting places. In his message, Pope Leo told us that these words of the prophet will accompany us during the season of creation, especially in relation to the challenge of seeing the reality of the impact of climate change on the poor, marginalised and excluded. As yet, we seem incapable of recognising that the destruction of nature does not affect everyone in the same way. When justice and peace are trampled underfoot, those who are most hurt are the poor, the marginalised and excluded. The suffering of indigenous communities is emblematic in this regard. That is not all. Nature itself is reduced at times to a bargaining chip, a commodity to be bartered for economic or political gain. As a result, God's creation turns into a battleground for the control of vital resources. We see this in agricultural areas and forests peppered with landmines, scorched earth policies, conflicts over water sources, and the unequal distribution of raw materials, which penalises the poorer nations and undermines social stability itself. Environmental justice, implicitly proclaimed by the prophets, can no longer be regarded as an abstract concept or a distant goal. It is an urgent need that involves much more than simply protecting the environment, for it is a matter of justice, social, economic and human. For believers, it is also a duty born of faith, since the universe reflects the face of Jesus Christ, in whom all things were created and redeemed. In a world where the most vulnerable of our brothers and sisters are the first to suffer the devastating effects of climate change, deforestation and pollution, care for creation becomes an expression of our faith and humanity. Let us now pause and pray for a few minutes that the Spirit from on high that Isaiah spoke of will open our minds and hearts to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, marginalised and excluded.
Veni Sancte Spiritus, 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 Veni Sancte Spiritus.
I'll now hand over to Ben Wilson from SCIAF.
Thank you for that prayerful introduction. I'm now really pleased to introduce you all to our speaker for this evening, my dear colleague Blessings Kachale from SCIAF. Blessings is the SCIAF Programme Officer for the Climate Just Communities Programme in Rwanda, which she'll be talking a lot about tonight. Prior to this role, Blessings has had a number of different roles within SCIAF, including previously being Programme Officer for the Climate Challenge Programme Malawi. And she brings a huge range of experience in programme management to the role from Malawi, from Ethiopia, from Uganda, from Senegal, from Rwanda now, and I'm sure many other places too. Blessings has worked in this role helping people to develop resilient livelihoods, to manage disasters, but also in safeguarding and child protection and gender and education areas, which she has a specialty in. Blessings has a PhD in global health and development from Queen Margaret University, and Blessings is originally from Malawi, but now calls Scotland her home, and lucky we are that she does. So I'm very happy to introduce Blessings, who will give her presentation now. Over to you, Blessings.
Thank you. I'll share my presentation. Let me say that I'll talk about the Climate Justice Program Rwanda, but I'll also talk about the Climate Change Program in Malawi and what we are also doing in Malawi to respond to climate change. So for those of you who don't know Rwanda, I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me just confirm.
Yeah, we can see it. Maybe just make it full screen.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. How about that?
That's it. Perfect.
Okay. So, sorry. Oh, dear. Okay. So for those of you who don't know Rwanda, this is Rwanda, and compared to the size of Scotland, Rwanda is very tiny. And sorry. Now, I don't know. Now, when it's full screen, I cannot see the arrows properly. Okay. Okay. So the purple or lilac is Rwanda and the pink is Scotland. So it is really tiny. It is 0.34 times the size as big as Scotland. And because I'll talk about Malawi, that is Malawi for those of you who don't know Malawi. And we are working in the southern part of Malawi mostly. So I'll talk about the climate change effects in southern Malawi as well. And the facts about Rwanda is it's a land of 1,000 hills. It has so many hills. It has 14 million people, and they speak Kinyarwanda, French, and English. And plastic bags are prohibited in Malawi since 2008. That is to address climate change. So when you want to go to Rwanda, you don't bring plastic bags, otherwise they'll be seized at the airport. And in Rwanda, the highest percentage of women are in parliament, which you don't see often in most African countries. So Rwanda has a higher percentage of women in parliament. And Kigali has a car-free day every first and third Sunday of the month, just to make sure they are also addressing pollution. It's mostly densely populated, a country in Africa. It's a small country, but it has 14 million people. And the indigenous people are locally known as historically marginalized, or the Batwa community. They suffered genocide in 1994, and just last year they celebrated 30-year anniversary of the genocide, where some of the perpetrators of genocide were released from prison. So the program in Rwanda, we are working in a consortium. We are funded by a Scottish government. They gave us £8 million. So SCIAF is the main lead, and we are in a consortium with the Christian Brand Mission, who have expertise in disability inclusion, and Trokea Rwanda, who are our partners in Rwanda who are leading in the implementation of the program. And Trokea Rwanda has also its own partners who are implementing the climate justice program. And these are National Union of Disabled Persons Organizations and Rwanda Climate Change Development Network, Duhamike Adri and Duterimberi. Each of these partners have their own expertise. For example, Rwanda Climate Change Development Network, they have expertise in advocacy, and also they have expertise in training of communities, strengthening their capacities in governance, in program management, for example, whereas Duterimberi has expertise in gender, and Duhamike Adri has expertise in livelihood resilience. So these are the partners we are working with in the program, and we are working in 3 districts in Rwanda. Those are the partners that we are working with in Rwanda. Like I said, Trokea Rwanda, SCIAF, and CBM UK are the main lead agencies who are implementing this program. And most of our consortium members are civil society organizations. They have strong relationships at district level, and we have existing MOUs with the Ministry of Environment in Rwanda. And we are also doing pre-financing of activities. And 90% of the 8 million I talked about is going directly into Rwanda. So I'll quickly show you a video of Rwanda and the climate impacts in Rwanda, so that maybe you can appreciate the presentation as I go along. I hope it does work. If you can't hear it, let me know. So I will share my experience of the cyclone in Malawi. I was in Malawi in 2023. I went there to visit projects that we implement with the Catholic Church in Malawi. So I went to visit the programs, and after I visited the programs, because I come from Malawi, I proceeded to a 1 week annual leave. As I was on my annual leave, I took my nieces and nephews out to eat around 3 o'clock. And when we went there, we ate and we had fun, and the kids wanted to play outside of the restaurant because they were they were playing equipment for kids outside. So we went outside, but as soon as I got outside, when I saw the cloud, I was so afraid because it was really dark, and what I saw, I have not seen it in my life. So I told the kids that we must leave now, we must go. But the kids, being kids, they didn't want us to leave. So I pleaded with them so that we can go. But after a while, they accepted. I told them the dangers if we stayed on. So we left. I was the one driving. But then it started to rain before we even got home. And the rain was very heavy. It was quite heavy, quite intense, that even the wipers could not contain the rain because it was really heavy. But because I had kids, I had to keep on going. So we drove and then we got home. And when we got home, it continued to rain the whole night. And in the morning, because I was leaving in 2 days' time, I thought probably if it continues to rain like this, I might not make it to go to the airport. I might as well leave now to go. So I left at that time. I didn't know that that was the most stupid decision that I had made in my life. So I left for Lilongwe because that was in Blantyre. And on the way, I met about 10 accidents of cars overturning cars, just swept away into by water. Thankfully, I got to Lilongwe. When I got to Lilongwe, that's when I heard that where I was coming from, a cyclone has hit, and a lot of houses have been swept away. So I saw on the news the pictures, and where I was staying and where the cyclone had hit was about 5 miles. So it wasn't very far from where I was in Blantyre. So because we work with the Episcopal Conference of Malawi, I had a meeting with them to ask them to assess the situation, and I reported to SCIAF that this is what I'm doing, and SCIAF we sent 25,000 pounds to them to respond immediately, because most of the dioceses in the south were affected. People were running to churches to seek refuge. So we needed to attend to the situation. So that was my experience of the cyclone, Cyclone Freddy. I'll carry on with my presentation. I don't know how I can So the impact of climate change now this is now in Rwanda. In 2023, over 300 people, mostly marginalized, living in disaster-prone areas, died as their houses were washed away by the floods, and hundreds of houses had their roofs either blown away or collapsed, their walls collapsed or just tilting. And most people lost their land, and soil erosion took place in 2023 in Rwanda. So most of the people who were affected were marginalized communities. Mostly these are the people who cannot afford to buy land in very good areas. So they just take anything that is available. So these are the places like, for example, valleys, very steep slopes in the valleys and in squatter settlements. So that's why when a disaster strikes, these are the people who get hit the most. And these are some of the pictures that of the devastation. This family lost their house completely, and the same this older lady lost his house, lost her house. Part of it collapsed during the night. Surprisingly, these storms and cyclones, they happen at night. And this is me. I went there to assess the situation. And just to show you that the areas that we work are very, very remote areas where it is difficult when you bring in commodities to take them to where the people who are mostly affected are. So this is how we deliver items. We deliver them at one point. As you can see, these are water tanks. Because Rwanda faces a lot of rainfall, we are harvesting water so that the communities can use the water, because again, water is very difficult to find because people have to go further down the slopes to collect water, and it's not easy when they are going up the slope. I, for one, have been to Rwanda 3 times, but all the 3 times I've failed. I've fallen down because the slope is very steep, and it's hard, especially when you are not used to those steep slopes. So in Malawi, Cyclone Freddy also killed 679 people and 537 went missing. And a million of them were 600,000 were displaced. And most of these people, like I said, they are in low-lying areas like squatter settlements, river banks, and that's why when a cyclone hits, they are the most affected. And this is the devastation that was in Blantyre at that time. This is where now I spoke about that I was just 5 miles away from this area. And what you can see here is a place where there were houses, and there was a landslide that took place and buried all the houses along the way. So most houses along this path were buried. And here are people just fleeing away from this place, going to seek shelter in churches or schools which survived the cyclone. And this is a picture of a school that was also hit by the cyclone. And this is also one of the places in Mlanje where we work, hit by the cyclones. So you can see these rocks and trees that were washed away from way up the hill to down the bottom of the hill, devastating everything that it found on the way. And this is also the damage. The road that we use mostly to go to the program areas was also affected, so that people from one side of the road could not cross to go to the other side of the road. And it was really hard to get like relief items to the people who were most affected by the floods. So what did we do in Malawi to respond to Cyclone Freddy? I'll just share with you a video that we received from the church, the Episcopal Conference of Malawi Church, after we had responded to the to the cyclone. Sorry about that one. Don't know what's happening. I tried to play them before this and they responded, but now they are not responding. I don't know what is happening.
I wonder, Blessings, if it's playing, but is it playing on your web browser? Therefore,
oh, right. Okay.
You need to just click play and then, I don't know, go out of the presentation, minimize the presentation to see if it's there.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah.
We can't see anything, Blessings.
Oh, you cannot?
The video, no.
Okay, I'll stop sharing then. I wonder if Rob, you can share the one that I sent to you.
Is that this YouTube one?
Yes, the Malawi one. I don't know. The Episcopal Conference of Malawi.
Got it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Stop sharing.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. I hope the sound will be there.
Now, can you hear the sound? Did you hear the bell?
Yes.
Great.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God.
As you are aware that over the past week, the country has been hit by Cyclone Freddy. As Blantyre Diocese, we have been greatly affected because all our 7 districts have been greatly hit. These are Mwanza, Mulanje, Palombe, Chiolo, Neno, Chiladzulu, and Blantyre itself.
Ineyo kwathu kuno kudera langa lino takuzidwa ndi madzi amene ali anapolo amene anapulika mphiri la Chiladzulu amene wadusa m'mudzi mwanga ndikuononga anthu a m'mudzi mwanga komanso mbewu zimene zinalimidwa m'mudzi mwanga, motero kuti taluza miyoyo ya anthu a banja limodzi, amayi komanso abambo amene atisiya chifukwa cha anapolo ameneyi.
They have been greatly hit to the extent that I think close to over 100,000 people have been affected. Over maybe 100 or 200 camps are currently in place. And as a diocese, our institutions like schools, hospitals are being used as camps to shelter the affected.
Mavuto ndi ambiri amene abwera chifukwa cha mvula imeneyi, kupangira kuti anthufe tikakhala kuti tili m'manyumba mwathu kunja kukamacha timadziwa kuti no ndikuyeneka ndithamange motere kuti ndikapeze choti chindithandize tsiku ndi tsiku. Ndipo kugwa kwa nyumba kwathu kwatikhala ngati watipanga disturb kumazakhala kunoko kuti no tikhoza kukwanisa kumasaka zokudya za tsiku ndi tsiku kukuvuta zimene zikutanthauza kuona kuti kavuto kanjala kaja kakhala ngati kaonjezerekanso chifukwa cha mvula imeneyi.
Kadecom is a development arm of the Catholic Church, so we also respond to disasters. So after this cyclone Fred, as an organization, we had to respond And we have, through our partners, various partners like Trocare, who have supported us with some funds, which we have managed to procure some relief items, particularly the non-food items and non-food items, which we have so far started distributing to the affected households. But again, we have also been mobilizing some support from the local church, where a lot of Christians within the Catholic Church has come up with some help in form of like clothes, some even maize flour, sugar, and the other food items, which we have also so far distributed in some of the areas we have visited so far.
Well, the church is much concerned and touched by this tragedy, this suffering. And for us, we are in solidarity with the people here. That's the whole purpose of our coming here, to show that the Episcopal Conference of Malawi is with the people who are suffering. So at this point, it's a time.
Thank you so much. So, as you have seen the devastation of...
I think that will come later on. But we are at the moment observing a human tragedy, a situation of suffering, and we want to see what we can do. We are trying to do the little that we can, and I think there's a great sign of solidarity from our neighbors as well, and the entire Catholic Church. So in general, this is a purpose, a message of this visit. Solidarity with the people who are suffering, and also a hand to them in terms of time of need.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God.
I think that is. Thank you. So I'll continue to share my screen. So as I said that after the cyclone, we applied for funding from Scottish Government, who generously gave us £200,000. And with it, we sent to Episcopal Conference of Malawi to respond to the cyclone that hit the country. So some of the items that they bought were iron sheets to support those who lost their houses, buckets, kitchen utensils, and food relief items. We also trained psychosocial counselors to provide psychosocial support to those affected, especially those who had lost family members from the cyclone. We also were able to cater for the elderly. We found tents where they could be housed. We also helped girls who were meant to be in school, but were not in school. So we had to provide for those girls as well. And in Rwanda, because of the devastation of the flooding and landslides, we had to also respond by constructing terraces, because, like I said, Rwanda is very steep. So any heavy rains, there are landslides. So we are supporting communities with terraces to make sure we are stabilizing the soils so that come the heavy rains, the soils are stable and they are not washed away. Because when you do terracing, then the soils are stable. So on the terraces, we are supporting communities to plant trees. So what we are doing is train people how to raise trees. Usually they are local trees that do well in the areas. So we are supporting them with raising trees. And once they raise trees, they plant them on the terraces. And we are also encouraging them to plant low-lying crops like potatoes, sweet potatoes, Irish potatoes, beans, so that they hold the soil. So come the heavy rains, the soils are not washed away. We are working with the government of Rwanda. Here you can see the government of Rwanda as part of the exercise we are doing to encourage communities to plant trees. So every quarter they come and we go together into the field to plant trees. So as you can see them, this is the Minister of Education and some of the ministry staff. With the Trocare Rwanda staff planting trees on the terraces. And these are the low-lying crops that I said that we are encouraging to plant on the terraces. So once they are planted, come the heavy rains, the soils are stable. There's no being washed away by heavy rains. We are also supporting communities to build strong, resilient houses so come rains, they can stand the rains. And we are trying to relocate people from drought-prone area, landslide-prone areas to where they will not be severely affected when there are heavy rains. We are also providing water tanks to harvest the water because they have 3 rainy seasons and they can be quite intense. So we are also supporting families to harvest water so that they can use it for both domestic use as well as for watering their vegetable gardens. We are also in advocacy, so we do send community members as well as staff to the COP so that they can advocate for governments to continue to provide support to countries who are severely hit by climate change. So we are also training climate justice ambassadors and champions within the community so that they can educate people about their climate justice rights, and so that they can to advocate to the government for the government to put at least adequate budget to respond to disasters. Like I said, we are training communities to plant, to raise nurseries and plant trees on riverbanks, on hilltops, around their homesteads, so that if there are heavy winds or heavy rains, at least they are protected. We are also providing, we call them efficient cook stoves. These are energy efficient stoves which do not use a lot of energy or fuel wood. So we are trying to make sure that people are not just cutting down trees and many trees to use them for domestic use. So with these cook stoves, they are using a little amount of wood, and they are also healthy because what we are doing is we are fitting them in their kitchens, and we are providing windows so that all the smoke can go out, so they don't inhale smoke as they are cooking. We are also providing livestock as an alternative livelihood in case agriculture or crops fail, so that they can also sell a goat or a pig and then buy maize or pay for school fees or pay for hospital bills. We are also training our farmers in compost manure making to make sure they are applying compost manure. We are encouraging agroecology, the agriculture of using organic inputs other than chemical fertilizers. We are promoting organic manure because organic manure also helps to hold the soils and also increase production. We are working with people with disabilities. We are advocating for the government to provide at least a 50% reduction on assistive devices. Through our advocacy in 2024, June 2024, the government put a policy that the assistive devices will be part of the community health program, and they'll be paying 50%, and whoever is looking for them will also pay 50%, which was quite a blessing to us, that now people will not have to pay 100% over for assistive devices. So apart from that, we are also training people with disabilities in various skills, and we are also providing loans, small loans, startup capital for them to do businesses, because most of the people that are affected by climate change are women, people with disabilities, children, and the elderly. So these are the most impacted by climate change because, one, they cannot run when a disaster is striking. They are unable to evacuate quickly. So we are trying to make sure that we give them something so that they can be resilient. We are also training climate justice ambassadors and champions in first aid in case of a disaster, and also that they can support with evacuation of especially the vulnerable groups. I think that is all that I can say for now, and I'll take questions. Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you so much, Blessings. I think, Marion, am I right in thinking you will lead on taking questions from the group?
That's right, yes, thank you. And what we need to happen is that everybody puts their questions and comments into the chat. If you would do that, that would be great. And then we can hear the responses from Blessings. Thank you so much, Blessings, for that presentation. We've learnt so much about the two countries from that. I know Malawi a little bit. I don't know Rwanda. I knew that it was mountainous. I certainly didn't know that it was as small as that. That's very much a lesson for me. And I was very impressed by those terraces. Living in Argyll in Scotland, where we have a road that gets closed very frequently because of landslips. I think that this is one that I have to suggest very much and get some terraces built. So we have a question from Rab here who says, do you have any insight into the high percentage of women in Parliament? And that's another interesting fact that I didn't know, that you had such a high percentage there in Rwanda.
I can come back to you on that one with figures. I don't have them to hand, but compared to, for example, Malawi, Rwanda has a lot of women in parliament, over 46%, I think. But I'll confirm that figure with you.
But I think that what Rab is getting at is why there are so many women.
Right.
What kind of role do they play
Why?
in society?
Okay. Right. Okay. I think the setup itself, I think there's the will of the president to have that in place and encouraging a lot of women to run for members of parliament. That's what has made Rwanda ahead of most of the countries, because even in organizations that we are working with, most people in leadership are women. So I think it started from the president encouraging women to take part in, for example, becoming members of parliament and being supportive as well of those women.
And are they do they traditionally have a strong role in society, in communities?
I would say because of that, and they have worked so hard to get to where they are. They are not there yet, but because you also see in communities that it is men taking the leading role in most aspects of decision-making processes. It's not women. So one of also the activities we're doing is women empowerment. We are advocating that women take part in leadership positions, even in community committees. And we are also training them in gender and development. We call it girls, gender advocacy and support, so that once they are trained, they should also advocate that women take part in those committees.
Right. It's interesting. Liz is saying that you've given such a great insight, and it's helping her because she's giving a Laudato Si talk this weekend, and that's giving first-hand information. I wonder perhaps that before we go, if maybe even Rab can do this for us, is put the links to those videos into the chat so that people who are doing things like Laudato Si talks can perhaps show them on, because they're in YouTube and so on, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, some of them are in YouTube. I can also share the links now.
Well, let's see if we can get some more questions. But yes, we'll get those links into the chat. It's, as Rab says, it's a tremendous witness to in the middle of all that Rwanda has been through, and the recent history and then the more recent history of these climate incidents. It is a tremendous witness to what's going on. I had a question before I go to Francis. You said that there was a car-free day on the first and third Saturdays of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do they enforce that? A brilliant way to reduce pollution, but how do they enforce it?
I can say that I also get amazed, and in one of my trips, I was in Rwanda, and I didn't know that I was in Rwanda in the week that one of those days was a car-free day. So when I looked outside, there was no car. They were just bicycles. So if you want to go to work, you take your bike or you walk.
Brilliant.
Yes.
That's certainly one that
there was the quietness that was there, unbelievable, because my hotel was just next to the main road. Unbelievable. It was very quiet
and very clean.
and very clean. So
yeah, must have been fantastic.
yes, and very clean. And they have also a day when they do community work, so they sweep the roads. They help those people in need, like if you need your house fixed, they will come and help you fix. So it's a community day where communities just help each other, even to work in the garden, to harvest stuff, or to fix a roof, or to fix a road. So to be honest with you, I don't know how they came to there, but I think it goes down to the leadership. And the
Well,
leadership is involved in doing that. I'm told that sometimes President Kagame does that near where he lives. He joins the people to do that.
well, we'll look forward to seeing either John Swinney or even Keir Starmer out clearing up. Now, Francis Hall is in Zambia and says that he's interested in the cook stoves to reduce cutting down trees, and is there any information on where he can find out more? I visit Zambia on a regular basis, and I know that is a big problem. So do you have any information you could give?
Yes, I can. I can share with you something on that. If I can get the email, maybe Rab can send me email. I can share. I can forward something.
Okay, that would be good, because I think certainly looking at the video, the stoves looked very compact and very clean, and the less wood that they're burning, the better it is. But of course, it's us in the global north who are causing most of the things that send on those storms to the likes of Rwanda and Malawi. Is there a feeling now of fear in people that these kind of storms are being more frequent? Sean is saying the pictures of the devastation speak so loudly of the extent of climate change. You know, are people getting scared?
Like, for example, in Rwanda, because we have constructed about 361 houses, very stable houses. For those people who have received those houses are no longer scared. They say they sleep quite well, but because we can't reach everyone, because the need is so vast. So for those whose houses are still the way they are, they are afraid. They don't sleep well. That's what they say. Because like I said, some of the houses are tilted already. So come a heavy rain, they'll go. Most of them are tilting, but the pictures are not doing justice to show how tilted most of the houses are. But so people who live in those houses, they are afraid. They know that, especially during rainy season, they don't sleep, because usually, I don't know why and how, but these floods and landslides happen at night. And some families, some houses, they have swept the house, including the entire family, gone.
Yeah, it's absolutely horrific. But do you feel that the voice of the Global South is being heard at the COP meetings? Rab is asking.
I
You
think
know,
that one I'll hand over to Ben to help me respond to that one.
okay, Ben.
Yeah, no, happy to. I mean, Malawi, of course, has a very strong position at the moment in the COP process, because Malawi is the chair of the least developed countries group there. But that is a role that will come to an end at after COP 30, I believe. But either way, I mean, even though Malawi, I mean, has these excellent negotiators and very knowledgeable, experienced government people who represent that group at the COP, they're still on the fringes of the discussions, because the discussions are dominated by the global north still, and the petro states from the Middle East, who've got a huge role in all of this. Of course, I remember at COP28 being inside one of the negotiation rooms, and at one point the different representatives of different countries all huddled together to have a discussion, and it was really notable about who was in the middle of this physical huddle. who was in the middle and which countries were at the fringes. And unfortunately, the least developed countries and the small island states are often at the fringes of these talks. And last year at COP29, the LDCs and the small island states actually walked away from the talks because they were so frustrated at not being listened to. And yet the richer, more powerful countries kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, take it or leave it. So it's a bit bleak.
Shocking state of affairs. Eileen is wondering how much is Rwanda hampered by the loss of young people and professional people like engineers and doctors due to migration. Thanks for that, Ben. What do you reckon? Is there is migration affecting Rwanda and indeed Malawi? Are people moving away because of the difficulties?
For Rwanda, I think people moved out during the genocide than they are doing now, because Rwanda now is well developed and most people have jobs, I would say, compared to Malawi. Malawi, most people, like, for example, doctors and nurses, they would finish their education and stay 3-4 years without getting employed. So you find that there's a lot of migration in Malawi than there is in Rwanda, because compared to Rwanda, doctors and nurses get employed as soon as they get out of colleges and universities. So there might be migration, but not that much.
Right. So it's not depleting
No.
professions.
No.
Right. That is one positive thing that we're hearing tonight then.
Yeah.
Back to one very simple thing that you said right back at the beginning, was that plastic bags are banned. Now, we've just heard that in this country, or certainly the UK-wide, the use of plastic bags has started to go up again, despite the fact that we know that this causes these problems. But so since 2008, you say plastic bags have been banned. Again, how do they do it? How, you say you get arrested at the airport for having plastic bags.
No.
How does it happen in the country?
So in the country, you find that they use cardboard bags, the ones that can, what can I say? What is the word? The carrier bags that are made of paper, not plastic. Yeah. So those are the ones they use, whether in markets or big shops, small shops. They use those ones. They don't use plastics. Because what happens when you go to Rwanda, your suitcase is searched. So they search it, and if there's any plastic, there's a bin just next to where they do the searching. You have to throw it away immediately. So they reinforce it, and shops cannot keep plastic bags because they are reinforcing it. And there's no importation of plastics into the country.
It's very impressive that those kind of basic things that we could all be doing in every country are being enforced so successfully in Rwanda. But what is really horrific is the fact that the weather, the climate itself is causing such terrible problems. And that's what we have to address now. And so I think that that's what we would be hoping that Ben, if he's going to COP30, that all of us give those that encouragement that that voice is heard from the south of the absolute devastation that's happening. Blessings, that's been absolutely brilliant to hear from you. And I'm going to hand back to Ben now, who I think is going to say a few words of thank you. Thanks to you, Ben, and thanks to Blessings.
Thank you, Blessings. Yeah, and thank you, Marion, for leading that. And thank you to everyone for attending. Blessings. It's been amazing to hear your experiences from Rwanda. This huge program, which is really changing so many lives. I was at a meeting earlier today with the First Minister, which was a great opportunity, and we talked there about we encouraged the First Minister to continue funding like this in the next government after the elections next year, and he was very encouraging on that. And I think that it's important for all of us to keep pushing our political leaders to keep funding programs like this because of the huge impact that they make around the world, and not to sort of fall down the path that we're seeing other leaders falling into about cutting aid and backtracking on climate commitments. So that's something that we all, I guess, after tonight, thanks to your reflections, can take away with much more confidence and resolve, because we now know much better where exactly this money is going and what kind of a difference it's making to people's lives. And thank you also for sharing your personal reflections about your time in Malawi. That was something that I had asked Blessings to share ahead of time tonight, because it's something that I remember really powerfully, Blessings sharing with the staff at SCIAF after coming back from Cyclone Freddy, which I think for me, again, just brings home the peril that so many people are facing because of climate change. So thank you very much, Blessings, for your presentation, and I'll pass over to, I think, Eileen, who's going to leave us and you a prayer.
Spirit of the living God, we thank you for the sharing of Blessings. We thank you for the way she has helped us to understand the reality of climate change as experienced by her family, and the people of Malawi. We ask that you anoint her anew in her work with communities in Rwanda as they confront the devastating challenges posed by the climate crisis. Amen. Let us also pray for SCIAF. We pray that the Spirit may continue to guide and empower SCIAF in its global work with the people in the hardest circumstances, so that they can overcome their daily struggles and the structures of injustice that make and keep them poor. Empower them in their work of seeking to embrace Christ's teaching of loving our neighbour and walking in solidarity with the poor and the oppressed. Amen.
As we go forth, let us reflect on the closing words of Pope Leo's message for the World Day of Prayer for the care of creation. Now is the time to follow words with deeds. By working with love and perseverance, we can sow many seeds of justice and thus contribute to the growth of peace and the renewal of hope. I pray that Almighty God will send us in abundance His Spirit from on high, so that these seeds and others like them may bring forth an abundant harvest of peace and hope. Let us go forth to plant seeds of peace and hope.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you, especially Blessings, Marion, Ben, Eileen, Rosa. Invite you to join us next week for Laudato Si School Seeds of Hope with Anne-Marie Clements, who many of you will know from Justice and Peace Scotland, which is a wonderful initiative that's happening in Scotland, and I don't think receives the attention it deserves. And then for our final session, we have Eco-Congregations Communities of Hope with David Coleman, who's the chaplain, Margaret McPhail, and Eileen will be sharing on what they're doing in their communities. So thanks again. Apologies for the wee hiccups at the beginning, technical wise. I will make sure once the recording goes out, you will never recognise it because it will be so as it should have been at the beginning. So thank you very much and God bless and have a wonderful evening.